It seems weird to call the Trey Lance era in San Francisco an era to really begin with, but whatever you want to call Trey Lance's time in San Francisco, as short lived as it was, it's over. And a lot of people at this point are only looking to blame the San Francisco 49ers, Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch for the move up and get Trey Lance in the draft. Look, I think if you just flat out want to call the Trey Lance trade up in the NFL draft one of the worst moves in NFL history, in terms of moving that much capital to get a player that you only end up trading for a fourth round pick, I understand that sentiment, but at the same time, you do kind of have to understand this is a team in San Francisco that, as bad of a move as that was, it obviously wasn't that bad of a move to hurt them because they made an NFC championship game last year. They were a very good playoff team the year before. This isn't a move that hurt San Francisco. And I think when you look at it, yes, they traded the pick to the Dolphins in order to get the number 3 pick. They traded number 12. They traded the 29th pick in the next year's draft, a 2022 third round pick, a 2023 first round pick. I get it, but at the same token, like, there's been worse moves in NFL history. I think if we just want to forget the Mitchell Trubisky trade, that's on you. But that's just kind of how sports media works nowadays, is we just forget things even if they happened only 6-7 years ago. Like I said, this wasn't a move that hurt the 49ers. And look, if you want to look at draft trades, I think look at originally who the pick came from. The pick originally came from the Houston Texans, and I'm going to put the trade up on the screen. The pick that was used on Trey Lance, the 2021 third overall pick, was originally held by the Houston Texans. The Texans traded that pick, a 2020 first round pick that ended up being Jordan Love, a 2021 second round pick that ended up being Javon Holland. They traded Johnson Bademosi and Julian Davenport to the Miami Dolphins for Laramie Tunsil. Now, are you going to say that Jordan Love, Javon Holland are equally, if not more valuable than Laramie Tunsil? I don't know, because Laramie Tunsil is still one of the best left tackles in the NFL. But both of those picks, I think if you take Jordan Love and he's on the Texans now, and Javon Holland, he's on the Texans now, I think you avoid a lot of the issues that have led the Texans to be where they're at right now. But that's really neither here nor there, because this video is not about the Houston Texans. This is about Trey Lance. And going forward, this is about what happens if Trey Lance is successful in Dallas. Now, one of two things need to happen for Trey Lance to even have a sniff at success in, I think I just said New Orleans on accident. I obviously meant Dallas. One of two things need to happen. Either Dak needs to play terribly, or he needs to get injured. Because there's no way that Trey Lance is going to play himself into QB number 1 in Dallas. That's not going to happen. It's not like we're going to see things in practice, or Dallas is going to see things in practice to just say, oh, we are going to put this guy in because of the work he's doing, and he is moving the ball up and down the field on offense in practice much better than Dak Prescott is. That's not what's going to happen here. On one hand, Trey Lance does get somewhat of a bad deal because he gets one less preseason game to kind of show what he's capable of. And the look and the overall feel around the NFL right now about Trey Lance is that he's the biggest, one of, if not the biggest bust in NFL recent history. So I think if you're a Dallas fan, you look at this a couple of different ways. You look at this as a way of this pick, this doesn't even matter. we have Dak Prescott. We're going to be playing Dak Prescott. We're going to be a playoff team with Dak Prescott. We are not worried about Trey Lance playing for our football team. I think you also look at it as a way of Dak hasn't been the best quarterback in the NFL over the last handful of seasons. Now, he's had a season in there where he was injured, and obviously that's something that he can't control. But the things that he can control, I think a lot of people around the league, I think a lot of people in the Dallas Cowboys organization would think that Dak Prescott, there's some things that he can control, and he doesn't do the best job of controlling them. 15 interception in 12 games last year. A interception percentage that's almost equal to his touchdown percentage. He didn't get sacked a lot last year, which is really good for somebody who, not coming off of, but within the last 3 years having that devastating lower leg injury, the ability of Dak Prescott to be able to still get out and move whenever he needs to. He's not going to run the ball as much as he used to in his rookie, second, third year. He's not going to be doing that as much. Maybe this year he'll get back to it a little bit, but he's just not gonna. And that's kind of just the deal going forward. At the same time, Dak Prescott is 30 years old. And you're getting to a point with Dak where if this upcoming season is what we have come to expect from Dak Prescott, which is a lot of turnovers and not really elite enough play to offset that. Brett Favre was a turnover machine. He retired as the record holder for most interceptions thrown. But he was elite enough at putting points on the board and getting the ball into his own team's hands that it kind of equaled, if not outweighed, what he was doing negatively for his team. Now, is Dak Prescott Brett Favre? No. Dak Prescott would be 10 times happier and be looked at 10 times higher in the NFL if he was Brett Favre. On the field. Let's keep it at that. On the field. Trey Lance is 23. And if we get to this point with Dak where, he's a 30-year-old quarterback, you used only a 4th-round pick or a 3rd-round pick on Dak Prescott, and you are able to say, we got as much out of Dak Prescott, the fortress, as I'm looking at this on Football Reference right now. You've gotten as much out of Dak Prescott as I think you can really say that you should have. 25,000 passing yards, 166 touchdowns. One of the top 12 quarterbacks in the NFL in his time. And when you look at it, you needed somebody to replace a fan favorite. I would say myself as a fan. I don't know how everybody in Cowboys Nation feels, but to me, somebody who I really liked in watching in Tony Romo, especially those last few years of Romo. Those were incredible years from Tony Romo. He was able to come in and make people forget about Tony. And like I said, that's everything that you could have asked from Dak Prescott as a 3rd, 4th round pick out of Mississippi State. Someone who going into the draft was not looked at as somebody who could lead a team to a 12-5 record in multiple 10-win seasons and multiple playoff appearances. Now, there hasn't been playoff success, and that's kind of the thing, is Dallas needs playoff success. If he doesn't do that this year, this is what the Trey Lance trade is for.